Hello everyone, welcome back to The Budget Sportsman, and thank you so much for joining me on today's video. Today I want to show you how to take this old beat up block target and breathe some new life into it so that you can save yourself some money on a brand new target. Now, before we go any further, I want to give you a disclaimer and say this is an experiment. I've never done this before, but I've heard about people doing it, and so I'm going to try to repair this block target, and I am going to bring you along for the experiment. And if it works, I'll let you know whether it works, and if it fails, well, I guess I'll save you the trouble of trying it for yourself. Now, about a year ago, I did pick up this new block target, and I made a video about that. And this is what I use most of the time now for field points. But when I bought this new target, I decided I wanted to keep this old one for shooting broadheads and some occasional use and whatever I need, kind of sort of a beat around target, just to save a lot of wear on this one, hopefully make it last longer. Unfortunately, this one is about at the place where it just isn't hardly doing its job anymore. I don't know if you've even noticed this while I've been talking, but I shot an arrow right before I started the video, and it is sunk in all the way to the fletchings. I mean, the nock is sticking out, but the fletchings are pretty much buried. If I turn this around, my arrow sticking out this side has picked up all this, I don't know, foam from the inside, the layered foam from the inside of the target. And it's just not really stopping arrows the way it is supposed to. And so I want to try to breathe some new life into it so I can at least use it when I'm shooting broadheads, again, to save wear and tear on this one. Now, my plan is to use some of this great stuff expanding foam. This is used a lot in construction, around doors and windows, anytime you want to just seal up a gap. And I'm going to try it. I picked up this 2-pack for about $4 at a local surplus store. Your pricing may vary, maybe $3 to $4 a can, probably, if you're buying it at the big box store. But I'm going to try to fill in all of these holes. Also, the foam, the internal layered foam, is very beat up, so I'm going to try to actually squirt some of this foam down in there, get it to expand and fill up the gaps and the cracks, and hopefully create additional pressure on those layers, as well as fill up the voids on the outside where the exterior layer of foam has been eaten away. So with that said, I'm going to go ahead and start filling it up with foam, and we'll have to give it probably a couple of days to make sure it's fully cured, and then we'll come back, do some shooting, and find out whether our experiment actually worked. Okay, one thing I've decided to do before I start filling with foam is actually try to get rid of some of this exterior layer of foam that's just really bad. I'm not going to get rid of all of it, but there's pieces that are just definitely ready to fall off anyway. So instead of trying to make sure they're adhered in, I'm just going to try to get rid of them. And I think what I'm going to do here is just kind of draw a line and actually take a knife and cut sort of a square out of it. I might make some adjustments to that square, but I definitely want to cut some of this out. Now, one more thing I want to point out here is that this internal layered foam is super cut up from shooting broadheads into this. So I've done my best to shove it down in there, and then I'll fill this void here with foam. But I've really tried to shove these foam layers down in as tight as I can, and then again, I'll just go ahead and start filling with foam. Well guys, I've got two sides filled in pretty well. I'm not going to do the other two sides right now because it's just easier to work on the top surface, and I can't do that without getting one of these other two sides down in the dirt. So I'm just going to do two sides for right now, and that'll give me a chance to actually wait for it to dry, test it, and see if it's worth doing the other two sides. So far it's looking pretty good. It's really expanding. I may have put too much in, but I wanted to make sure that when it expanded that I had plenty to actually slice this off flat and get a nice flat surface with no kind of indents or divots or anything like that. So the can says it takes about 8 hours to fully cure, but I've got such a large mass of it in one place. I'm guessing it's going to take a lot longer. So I'm probably going to give this about 2 days before I try poking an arrow in it or anything like that to make sure it's actually dry. So for now, it's just a waiting game. Well guys, it's been about 36 hours since I filled the foam into this target. I checked yesterday and it was fully cured. I just didn't have a chance to do any more filming As you can see, I put way too much in. The can actually says it expands, that you should only fill the cavity to 50%. And I did more than that because I wanted to make sure it filled up to the place where I could cut it off flush and not have any big voids. Clearly, I did too much. But anyways, I think it's gonna work out just fine. I've already started cutting it off some. And I will say, this is probably gonna be the trickiest part, is trying to cut it off nice and flush. I've been using this blade right here. I hope you guys can hear me, it's really windy. I've been using this blade right here, which is from like a big box cutter. This is the kind you can break the end off as the tip gets dull. It's working okay. One thing is it flexes, and you know, as I'm pushing down and through, I feel like I'm flexing and kind of cupping out my cut. So I also got this hacksaw blade, and I think because it's longer, it might work a little bit better, at least for this bigger portion. So I've already started working on it some. I'm going to keep working on it here, see what I can do, and then I'll show you the results. Alright, so there you can see I got it cut off. I will say the hacksaw blade worked much better than that other blade. You can see it's fairly flat here. It's a little bit contoured. When I used that other blade, I was definitely dipping down into the foam, and so I got kind of an uneven section there. I also see I have a kind of a void here, so what I'll probably do is I'll probably go ahead and squirt some foam down in there. But this is pretty much what I wanted. Before we do any shooting, let's go ahead and cut this side off and see if we can get this side nice and flush. This is a smaller section, and so I think that hacksaw blade will cut that off really nice. Alright, so I've got two sides now finished up, and as you remember, I only did two so far. I still got two sides unfinished, but what I think I'm going to do is go ahead and take a couple of shots. This side here is the side that I shot at the beginning of the video that is sunk in all the way to the fletching. So I'm going to see if just filling in one side is enough to help stop the arrow a lot better, keeping in mind that I still have a big void on this side. But let's take a couple of shots and see if one side does anything at all to help stop the arrows. Well guys, I have to admit, from back there where I was shooting at 20 yards, I actually thought these buried into their fletchings, and I was like, oh no, this was a waste. But look at that. I mean, I've got a solid foot sticking out there. I am really happy with that result. And if you look, the field tips are actually sticking out past flush of the back of the target. So I think once I fill this side in with foam, it's gonna stop even better. So I'm pretty happy about that. Now one thing I wanna do is I wanna pull the arrows out and see how big of a hole it leaves. See if the foam actually kind of is self-healing like a target would be. Well guys, so far I have to say, in the way it stopped those arrows, I'm really, really pleased. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like it's going to be self-healing very well, so I'm not sure how long this repair is going to last, but for just a couple of dollars, I'm going to get a good bit more life out of this target, I think. So I'm going to go ahead and fill the other two sides, and then I'll get back with you when I got the target all repaired, because I've got one more thing that I want to do to kind of bring this target back to life. Well guys, for some reason every time I come outside to record for this video, it's super windy. And so if this looks or sounds weird at all, it's because I've got the camera shoved up inside my shed to try to block it from some of the wind. But anyways, at this point I have got all four sides patched up here. If I'm being honest with you, it didn't come out as perfect and seamless as what I had hoped, but it's a beat up target anyways. Now one more thing I want to point out to you about the way this stuff turned out is around the edges of wherever I put foam, it's very soft and very dense foam, but toward the middle it's much harder and a much more air bubble filled foam, a little bit harder feeling. So if I was to do this again after doing this a couple of times, I think I might consider doing several smaller layers so that it doesn't foam quite so much and have that hard interior. If I could get it all to be like this softer exterior, I think it'd be a much better, more durable target. But again, time will tell. Now I mentioned earlier I have one more thing that I want to do, and what I want to do to this target is I actually want to paint on it a little bit and try to get some new target faces put on it. Let's see, which side do we want to start with? This side right here is a, you can kind of see this is the outline of a deer. Used to be vitals here. Now I'm not going to try to paint over this different color, but I'm going to try to take some black and repaint up the outline of my deer. Alright, there's the outline of my deer. Looks a lot better. Now in addition to the deer, I've also cut out some stencils here with some different size circles. The original circles that were on this target were, I think, about 3 inches, so I'm going to paint a couple of 3-inch circles on here. But I'm probably also going to put some smaller dots on here for that closer range shooting and just to get some extra spots to actually shoot at on this target. Alright guys, well here it is, the completed target. Got some new dots painted back on it. Is it pretty? No. Are the dots all painted evenly in the perfect spot? No. Will it give me some more life out of my target? I'm pretty sure that is a yes. So this side has some dots. This side is my deer silhouette. This side some more dots. And on this side, if you turn it, which way? This way you have your deer silhouette, but I don't shoot that much on this target, so I decided to add some dots to that side as well. Just put some of the smaller 1-inch dots on there for some close range shooting. So anyways, like I said, it's not pretty, but it is functional. I think this is going to give me a good bit more life out of this old beat up target. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Let me know what you thought. If you have done a target repair like this before, and maybe you've done a better method that I don't know about, then by all means leave me a comment down below. And until next time, remember to get off YouTube and get outdoors into God's great creation.